It's the kind of thing that you never really thought would happen to you. I can't remember a thing after that. We were just dancing, then I have no idea what happened. It was pretty hopeless.
As we emerge out of the COVID-19 pandemic, it appears as though we are now facing a new epidemic, drink and needle spiking. The emergence of this dangerous and scary new concept has sent shockwaves throughout the student community here in Leeds, as in 1 week back in October 2021, there were 53 known spiking cases just in Leeds.
I spoke to a spiking victim who shared her story with me. However, we have used an actor to protect the identity of the victim.
It was a normal night in Freshers Week, and me and my friends from home who were visiting were paying for alternate rounds. So we both drank exactly the same amount, and we knew that we both had a similar tolerance to alcohol. So when we were dancing around the table having a good time, and I just had my drink on the table, and I always knew where it was, but I didn't necessarily have my eye on it the whole time. And so after a couple of hours of dancing, the rest of the night just blanks out. I can't remember a thing after that. We were just dancing, then I have no idea what happened.
I approached Beaverworks Club in Leeds about their recent efforts to prevent spiking. However, they refused to comment despite previously outlining that they had a zero-tolerance stance on spiking. In mid-October 2021, the spotlight shone onto spiking as reports of spiking exploded. This time, victims weren't just reporting drink spiking, but also spiking via needle. Therefore, revolution in the form of Girls' Night in Leeds was created. The creators of Girls' Night in Leeds explained what changes they would like to see the clubs make.
We don't want more security. We don't feel that from all the stories we've been getting in that this would actually make people safer. I think there have been a lot of accounts of bouncers being quite violent. They don't know how to deal with girls that have been spiked. There's the issue of racial profiling, which we don't want to make it a more anxious experience for people going out. We want people to feel safe.
So it is Wednesday the 27th of October, and we're about to have a girls' night in with a couple of my friends to boycott the clubs.
Yeah, from us being scared about our drinks to now being scared about being spiked by a needle and looking for bruises on our bodies after a night out, and it's kind of gone from us being able to enjoy a night out to now having to think too much all the time about who's around us and where our friends have gone all the time.
While we were busy having our girls' night in, Leeds Student Radio hosted a 5-hour-long broadcast in collaboration with Girls' Night In.
We're going to be here with you live until midnight, guest speakers, all your amazing tunes to take you through your Girls' Night In, boycotting clubs and bars and tuning in to LSR. This is Man I Feel Like a Woman by Shania Twain.
Let's go, girl. The Warehouse put out a post and they kind of highlighted their aims of what they were going to do to try and create a safe environment for women and for anyone who had been targeted by spiking. And it was actually quite sad to see that after they put out all these aims, so highlighting that they'd had a bunch of CCTV installed in summer, that the very next day 2 girls were actually spiked via injection.
As the club boycott was in full swing, I sent Alex Buckmaster and Tom Horn out onto the streets of Leeds to see if the boycotts had paid off and if our local clubs were empty or not. The streets of Leeds are usually bustling on a night like tonight, as the Wednesday night is known for being the Sports Society's big night out. But tonight, the streets became the emptiest that they've been since the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Being spiked can affect people in different ways. However, some of the most common symptoms of drink spiking are lower inhibitions, visual problems, vomiting, unconsciousness, and loss of balance. With increased numbers of reported drink and needle spikings, discussions were not only spreading throughout the student community, but were now beginning to have a large presence throughout the national news, and was being discussed more widely by politicians. Leeds Labour politician Alex Sobel explained what measures he would like to bring into clubs to reduce spiking through his Safe Nightlife Summit.
Look at trying to put additional restrictions on their licences, which would mean they have to take additional measures around surveillance, around taking responsibility for customers, ensuring that being more vigilant. So if somebody appears to have been spiked, they'll take immediate action, they'll call the police in, they'll try and find the perpetrators themselves.
Political action surrounding spiking has never been so important, and this was further illustrated when a warehouse bouncer had this to say about recent spiking reports in Warehouse Club.
Do you think it's just a coincidence that so many people are suddenly ending up, collapsing in the middle of your clubs?
Some could see it as a coincidence, but as a former student, mate, going out on a Wednesday, I know how messy things can be.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, so many people have just suddenly got so much more drunk. Is that coincidence?
It could be the case, mate.
On Monday, the 17th of January, the government made a small step towards protecting people from spiking, as the House of Lords voted in favour of requiring a review into the prevalence and criminal justice system response to spiking. However, all Conservative peers voted against the review.
The next thing I can remember is walking home alone along the road at Woodhouse Moor. I can just remember trying to get into my phone, but I couldn't type, and I couldn't even see the numbers, and it was all just pretty hopeless. And somehow I managed to call my friend, but all I was able to say was help down the phone. And luckily, my friend had me on Find My iPhone, so her and her boyfriend were able to come find me and take me back to theirs where I threw up. And apparently I wasn't making any sense at all, but like the next morning I woke up and I was absolutely fine. Obviously, like if anyone's ever been to Beaverworks, you know that it's pretty far out from the city, and like really the only way to get back is by like an Uber, but I had no Uber or taxi payments on my phone, and so I really have no idea how I even got to Woodhouse Moor that night.
Spiking will forever be an ongoing case, with new victims arising. However, clubs, local authorities and the government must ensure that they continue to take action to help protect us in clubs and bars.